Hello, everybody. We're Any Way You Slice It. I am Jason Flom. This is Peter Tijan. And we have, for this week, a special Kiss episode. For those that don't know, we started off as a Kiss channel 3 years ago, Peter. Next month is 3 years.
Next month, huh?
And speaking of that, when we first started, we did an episode, 2 episodes actually, that we're not too fond of these days. We look back on them, we're like, we could have did those better. I mean, they were our first episodes ever. You expect that, Okay, so with that said, on our very first episode, this is the one that's replacing it. We talked about how we got into Kiss and even how we met and how this all came to be. So how did you get into Kiss, Peter?
So my friend and your friend at the time, were you friends with him later?
Late 80s. Yeah. And I was more friends with his brother, Robert.
A friend of mine in the neighborhood, Mike, I went over to his room. It was summer. And
what year are we talking?
This is really late. This is late summer 84.
Okay.
And him and his older brother shared a room. And, it was one of those rooms where Kiss everywhere, Kiss all over the ceiling. It was just this dark room of posters. And I just thought it was amazing. I mean, I had like one girl with big boobs sticking out. She's playing a video game from the side. It was an amazing poster, but that's pretty much all I had in my room. You know what I mean? I'm amazed my parents let me have that.
You got to find that on the internet and throw it up for the people who can see it.
It said something like, video games are fun or something like that, and they were just heaving. They were heaving. I do have a picture of me with it in the background. Maybe I could do some kind of Google photo search thing or something.
Yeah.
But I went over to his place and he put on Kiss Alive because I saw the Kiss posters and the Kiss albums. And I'm like, you got to play this for me. Because I had just heard a couple songs on the radio. I think I had heard All Hell's Breaking Loose and Lick It Up on the radio recently. And
do you remember if you liked those when you heard them?
Yeah, I remember thinking they're pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I mean, I had Metal Health at that time, Pyromania. I had just a few albums. Christmas with the Chipmunks.
Chipmunks.
Yeah, I was just getting into rock. So he played me Kiss Alive, dropped the needle down on the vinyl, and I said, "Oh man, you got to record this for me." So I went and got I went and got a Maxell 90. It was either a 90, and he left a couple songs off, or maybe it was a 100-minuter. And he recorded Alive and Alive 2 on the other side.
When you dropped the needle down, was it on side 1? Because your mind must have just boom.
Yeah, it was Deuce for sure.
Oh,
I heard Deuce. I sat there and listened to the whole thing. I heard the scream at the end.
You heard the explosions.
And I just said, you gotta record this. And it was like one of those 70s systems that's got the cassette deck in the front, like over on the left, and the tuner right there, and a handful of knobs in the front, and then it's got I think it had an 8-track thing on the side, one of those units, So he played that sucker for me, and he recorded on a cassette, and that was it. It was over. And then I looked back at the magazines that I had at the time, because I've repurchased a lot of the magazines, and it was late '84, and I was getting them off the stand, so that's how I know it was summer, like late summer '84.
So this is right when like Heaven's on Fire was hitting the airwaves. Yep. Do you remember hearing that at the time?
And then I was over at a friend's house, Ray Darling, and we were watching MTV, and Heaven's on Fire came on. And, kind of a silly video, but it rocked, and I was like, oh, that was cool, Because you saw a lot more of that stuff at night on MTV.
Yeah.
You'd see Looks That Kill or Dio or whatever at night.
You got nothing coming.
You'd see Duran Duran and stuff like that during the day more, from what I remember.
Yeah,
so.
It's just true.
So that was it. That was it for me. That got me into Kiss, and I've been crazy after all these years. How about you, Jason?
So for me, it was... this always bothers me, because I cannot pinpoint the exact time. I used to say 76, 77, but...
That early? I thought you were Dynasty.
Well... I'm getting to that, Peter.
I thought you had a Dynasty.
No, I think it was 78. That's what I'm going with.
78?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tim Ely, who you now know, friend of mine, and at the time, I mean, he was my childhood buddy. I remember riding bikes with him in the front yard, and I don't know if it was a magazine or what, but he pulled out a picture of Kiss. For some reason, I remember thinking like Paul looked like a girl or something. You're a stupid 6 or 7 year old.
Paul's like,
Yeah, probably. And he's like, yeah, I'll play him for you. And we went back to his house, and it was Rock and Roll Over that he dropped the needle on. And it was, I want to say he got it from his sister's room, because his sister had a really cool album collection, too.
so I Want You was the first song you heard? Or?
I believe so.
Really?
And, so Rock and Roll Over, and maybe that's subconsciously why it's my favorite Kiss studio album.
Yeah.
But, I just, it's one of those things, you hear it and like, okay.
Yeah.
This is what my youth is about.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it was, down the rabbit hole, magazines, posters, albums, blah, 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 it just, and that lasted a very long time through the 80s and all that. And, once the 90s hit, I'm becoming a young man. And, I get into other things as well. Whether it be Bob Dylan or whatever, The Doors, whatever. But Kiss were always there, always in the, the reunion happened, I seen them, finally got to see the original band. I didn't see them till 85, Animalized tour.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and, they're just that thing that they symbolize my youth. We do this show, and we did it just about Kiss for the longest time. It's about nostalgia, It's
For me, it's not just nostalgia, though. I mean, it's like there's something so great about Kiss that people don't want to let in. They don't want to admit it,
nostalgia, but letting people know, like, hey, there's quality stuff here.
Yeah. For instance, the Elder album. That's one of the number one things I wanted to tackle, and I think we redid that episode at one point, but originally we did it pretty early on, and I know I really was gunning to do that episode and talk about how amazing I thought it was, because I hardly ever heard anybody give it up for the album. Everybody had just a bunch of negative shit to say all the time, and I thought, what a masterpiece. I loved it. So
yeah, and the passion must have came through, because that ended up being like one of our, I think to this day it might be our best,
one of our biggest ones.
Yeah. So yeah, we went through all the classic Kiss albums. We did all that. And then, we decided to branch out and do some other bands. But we're back to Kiss because, quite frankly, I'm going to instantly go to YouTube and put our first 2 episodes we ever did on private for you can't see that.
Yeah, take that shit down.
Because this is the new improved.
And you're wearing a Creatures shirt, and the next episode we did was Creatures. I think we should redo that, too. What do you think?
It is a Creature shirt, but who's this guy? That's Vinny, if you can't tell. Yeah. Creatures, we need to redo it at some point.
Yeah. I'd be down to do that soon.
Yeah. So we're back, Kiss fans. We never lost faith in Kiss or anything like that. We like other bands too, and we want to talk about them, and we still will. But so we're gonna do this the way we did our first episode. Top 20 Kiss songs of the Make-Up era, but we're just changing it a bit. The original band. Okay, so, and again, we know...
The original band-ish.
We know Peter wasn't on Unmasked, and then, we know all that. Yeah. So, keep that in mind,
And also my list, it's 20 tunes. They're not really in order at all. A tiny bit here and there. My number 1 deserves to be number 1. That's really all I could say. Some of the other ones deserve to be close to 1, in the top 10. But Jason is much better at numerical order than me. I'm
into this stuff.
It's tough. It's hard for me to think like that, and I feel too bad. I can't treat this other song like that. I can't put this other song at 19.
It's all subjective.
Yeah. So you went first. Oh, also you're wearing a Kiss shirt, and I was wearing a Death shirt.
And we didn't even plan this.
So I put on a Death shirt on purpose, because I saw our episode earlier for a minute, and I thought I'm going to put on a Death shirt. Although it was my other Death shirt, but you didn't purposely wear a Kiss shirt, or did you?
I did.
Like I said, mine aren't numbered, but I'm putting Charisma at 20. And it
wait, Peter didn't play on that.
It does deserve to be maybe not top 10. I love the tune. It's always been a go-to for Dynasty, and the Pocket, Gene's vocal, Sexy Wexy. I just always love that tune. It has a nice, crisp, punchy production on there. I love it. Starts off side 2. So Charisma, I definitely want it in the top 20, because I want to have something from Dynasty, and for me that's the one. That's what do you got for 20?
And my number 20 is Tonight You Belong to Me.
Yeah.
My favorite song of any of the solo albums. It's kind of like I Want You in its arrangement, the acoustic opener. You know, it gets rocking. And, it's one of those songs, it's probably one of the most Kiss-like songs on any of the solo albums. Would you agree? You got Bob Kulick tearing it up on lead. It's just a great song, great Paul song. When I think of the best Paul songs, it's one of the first that comes to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Tonight You Belong to Me, Paul Stanley, 1970.
And that takes me into a solo album. I had Rip It Out towards the end too, and I guess I probably had that towards the end because it's not a normal Kiss album. But man, Rip It Out is killer. I mean, obviously it starts the album for a reason. It's just killer. Rip It Out, the whole drum solo thing, being a drummer myself.
One thing about Rip It Out really quick, there was this Facebook thread. Some guy had mentioned somehow he mentioned that Kiss only did New York Groove from the solo albums live. Some guy chimed in and ended up saying, I wish they would have did Rip It Out instead of New York Groove, but Peter probably couldn't have handled that song. Which I wrote back in 79, yeah, probably. I mean, you're probably right. So, do you think Peter could have handled Rip It Out?
He would have done his own drum fills. He would have done.
It would have been different.
Yeah, he would have done his own drum fills.
Yeah, but they had to do the big hit New York Groove. That's why they did New York Groove.
Yeah.
So my number 19 is Firehouse. It's Paul in high school writing a song, sitting on his bed.
Yeah.
Inspired by the Move. And
Yeah.
it's classic. The harmonies, the lyrics, it's all amazing.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear me say this a lot this episode. I do like the version from Alive even better.
Yeah.
Okay. 19 Firehouse.
So for me, Larger Than Life maybe could be further up if my list was proper, although it's not really proper. But Larger Than Life, just a killer fat groove with the PH. I love it. People still talk about whether it's Peter.
I was about to say, are we going to talk about that?
There's a lot of echo and verb and room on it, which I think people associate with like Creature's drum sounds and stuff, but that doesn't mean Peter didn't know how to hit the snare and it's reverb's falling off of it. I mean, I think it sounds big because it's in a big atmosphere, and when I hear the hi-hat, it's still definitely organic. It ain't played perfect, and I think that it easily could be Peter. There's nothing on there Peter couldn't do. Would he do it? I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a different feel. I just think it has a different atmosphere on the mix. But.
77 Peter was different than, say, 79 Peter. I mean, he can still play. It's just not his normal sound. But, maybe they...
Well, that wasn't his sound at all. That's the producer puts the verb on.
Yeah.
I mean...
Right. So...
Yeah,
Larger
Than Life.
And that would have been Eddie Kramer, who knows something about engineering sound, drum sounds like that.
Yeah.
Good pick. You might be hearing about that one later. My number 18 is Parasite. I mean, what can you say about Parasite that hasn't been said? The riff.
One of the heaviest ones.
It's just amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I almost feel bad it's not up higher, but I'm really happy about my list. But yeah, Parasite. I mean, it's Parasite. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Total
And guess what, Peter? I like the version from Alive better.
Yeah.
In this case, I really
most
do.
of them.
I really do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next for me is Almost Human. And Almost Human to me is a really special, odd track. And it's cool that it's got such a good hook, and it's a Gene Monster song. And it's cool that it's kind of not a hit. Like you always say. It's kind of nice that you didn't hear it on the radio and stuff.
Yeah.
It's always going to be fresh for me. Almost Human. It's got a funky groove. It's one of the funkier kind of Kiss songs. It's got bongos.
Yeah, it does.
That's it. What do you got to say? I mean,
Not on my list, but
it's got a crazy guitar solo too.
that would. Oh man.
Yeah. Or if you want to call, it's a noisy
Yeah.
noise guitar solo
It's
basically.
a noise solo that somehow makes sense.
Yep, gotta love it.
Yeah. I Stole Your Love from the same album. I definitely like the live version better. I really don't even like the sound of the guitars on the Love Gun version. I never have. But you can't take away from it being a great song. It's a great
So I think I've always preferred the LP version. I think
Really?
those raw guitars make it raw and killer. That's so we're opposite on that, but I mean I love the Alive 2 version of course too.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think for me the album version of I Stole Your Love, man, that really kicks you in the pants. It's really gutsy and raw. And that is what I like about it.
It's great, and I like it's a dual solo.
Yeah.
Paul starts it. again, when I think of some of the best Paul songs, it's right up there.
Yeah.
I like that they brought it back on the Hot and the Shade tour. It's funny on a live too that it starts off side 3, but it was really the tour opener.
Yeah, that is funny that they.
Great song, I Stole Your Love, and I think we might be hearing something about that later.
Yep, so the next for me is Flamin' Youth, and I think that's really one of the fun songs. And again, being such a big Kiss fan for so long, I admit that I let this version of my list be a little bit more personal. Like, I mean, I do love the deep tracks more because I have been hearing some of the songs so much over the years, and I think that's okay because I'm me. I'm going for more stuff like Flaming Youth and stuff like that because it's really what I go to put on. Those are my go-tos. Almost Human, Flaming Youth, Charisma. I don't care if they're hits. Killer stuff.
No, I wasn't going for hits.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So Flaming Youth got Calliope.
Yeah, great choice.
My last song had bongos. This one has Calliope.
Yeah, I was laying in my bed last night coming up with my list, and I'm sitting there got my pen and pencil, and I was considering Flaming Youth. I was really considering that.
It's a really fun tune. It's got they drop beats.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very
silly lyrics, but
it's an interesting arrangement.
Yeah,
And then the only other song in rock I can think of that has a Calliope is that intro on Inside the Electric Circus. They have a Calliope on there. Well, what other rock song has a Calliope? Oh, well, it's lyrically in a Bruce Springsteen song, but I don't think there's an actual Calliope in it.
No, right.
So,
Calliope is just a cool word.
Calliopes, man. Let's just say that a lot.
Calliope. It's better than gymnasium.
Calliope.
I like it better than gymnasium. Calliope. I love that word.
I like Gene.
I'm really.
It's another big word.
I'm going to use that word at
like
some
university.
point. At some point during this episode, I'll use that word again.
You know when Gene says that stuff? No, there's a big word.
Yeah.
Like university.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Gene.
Okay. What you got? What's your number? What do you want?
16? So my number 16 is about ladies walking the street in New York City. I put Strutter at 16.
Ladies in waiting?
That's yet another one. Strutter at 16.
Yeah.
Come on. The opening drum beat, the suspended chords.
That's one that I really, really do prefer the Alive version. I'm not saying the album version's bad, but the Alive version.
I love the studio version, actually.
I love it too, but the Alive version to me is kind of magic.
Yeah, how can you
slightly different arrangement?
How can you complain with the second song on Alive?
What version did we do? Did we do the Strutter version, the arrangement from the album, when we had our?
So what he's referring to, if you didn't know, we were in a Kiss tribute band together. I was Ace, he was Peter. Peter was Peter.
It'll write again someday. Who knows? But
really?
Well, you never know, right? It'll be a two-piece.
History in the making right now.
But I mean, the arrangement of Strutter's a little different. Some sections are a little longer.
Yeah.
I think on the same with Rock and Roll All Night.
If I know us, we followed the Alive version. I would guess.
I can't remember
because we wanted to know how to end it, right? Mm-hmm. So Alive. We're talking. What was that? 12 years ago now, or something?
Yeah,
like that?
It's been a while.
Yeah. But Strutter. Yeah. When I was at. When we did my birthday bash thing, remember Strutter was on the playlist, played it to the whole club had to hear Strutter, and a bunch of songs I picked. But as soon as Strutter came on, Rick Friel looked at me and goes, "This is my favorite song of all time."
Dude, so many people, not even just people like Rick that are musicians and stuff and really know, but like people that are just some guy at the laundromat or whatever. Oh, you got to kiss your lawn. Oh, I love that song, Strutter. It's the first song most people mention. Mm-hmm. And it's ironic because they pushed Nothing to Lose so hard over and over trying to make it a single. Did you play it on TV? What did they play on Michael Douglas? Oh, that was Firehouse.
Yeah.
But they pushed Nothing to Lose, and they had it advertised as the single and magazines and stuff. And but really, everybody still talks about Strutter these days from the first album.
And did you see you can now get a gold Strutter?
I noticed they just came out with that.
$50,000.
No way.
Yes.
$50,000.
Mm-hmm. That was like the joke on the internet all day.
50,000.
Yeah, Brandvold ended up saying I asked the record company to send me one so we could review it. So there's no way they do that.
That's pretty good.
If they do, he'll have to send it back or something. Because,
that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous.
$50,000.
So is that the company that owns the Kiss catalog
think it's
now
Pop House.
doing those things, or is Paul and whoever still going in there and coming up with these
I couldn't
ideas?
tell you that.
Because that's a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So on that note, that's pretty crazy. Next for me is Love Her All I Can.
If you bought it, by the way, we want to hear from you. 50,000. Okay, yeah. Love Her All I Can?
Love Her All I Can. And just unbeatable, great pop song.
It is. It's pop, yeah, it's definitely a pop song. To me, it's Paul really showing his influences, the stuff he was into back in the early 70s. And it's a Wicked Lester song, right? So even further back.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dressed to Kill, such a great. It's simple in its form. Like, the songs are short. They
2.5 minutes.
They had trouble they tried to make the grooves more. Paul was like insecure about it looking like maybe an EP or something. Mm-hmm. But like the way it's recorded, I just think it's my favorite as far as the recording out of the first three.
Oh, definitely.
They all have their charm for sure, but it's recorded near perfect. There's not a whole lot of. It's not real expansive with verbs and overdubbing a lot, but I think they recorded the band really, really well. It's nice and crisp, and yeah.
Look up our Dress to Kill episode. Yeah. We're really proud of that one.
Yeah.
We're not going to redo that one. That one's just fine how it is. So my number 15, we're on 15. Love 'Em, Leave 'Em. This is one of the songs that doesn't get enough credit. I mean, it's Sleazy Gene.
It's so silly. I think that's why.
It's sleazy, yeah, but...
And they thought it had something, too, because there's Mexican or... They performed it on some TV shows.
Yeah.
What was that?
They did the video for it. They did an actual video for it.
Well, that was miming. Was that Germany? Where was that?
No, not back in the day.
I'm saying they pushed it a bit. They thought it had some... Maybe they were just trying. What was that? What market was that? Was Europe where they did a video for that?
I think I ended up being played on like Don Kirshner's rock show,
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's Sleazy Gene. It opens up, great riff, the great guitar solo in that song, amazing. I just love it.
A limousine is waiting. Mm-hmm. Hey,
it's relentless.
Hey.
It's just a relentless
song. Oh, I love it. Yeah. It's just good, silly fun. I would go directly and put that song on all the time.
Yes.
Go straight to it. It's great.
Side 2 of Rock and Roll Over is maybe my favorite side on any Kiss album.
Yeah.
I love it. More of that to come.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next for me is All American Man, and it is the other song that it's like if I have to pick what's my favorite on side 4 of Alive 2, it's either that or Larger Than Life. And All American Man is really, really killer, Paul. And Bob Kulick, really, really killer.
Mm-hmm. When we had the Kiss band, I made a point to make everybody do All American Man because I wanted to play that riff live.
Yeah.
And we did, and it kicked ass.
Yeah.
And All American Man is also my next song, so we're just gonna...
Is it really?
Yeah.
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 Go for your next
Everything
one.
he said is true.
And it starts that side. They knew it was good. They knew it just rocked, had a great pocket.
Yeah. If that wasn't on Alive 2, whatever the next Kiss album was going to be, that would have opened it. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, some of those songs on side 4, it's almost too bad that they were just on side 4 of Alive 2. You know what I mean? They got outshined by all the live stuff because that would have been some great material for the next album, of course.
And also, I just mentioned side 2 of Rock and Roll Over being one of my favorites. Side 4 of Alive 2.
Yeah.
Wow. I even like the Dave Clark 5 song.
It's fun.
Yeah. So, it's actually your turn now because mine was the same.
Yep, totally.
Okay.
So next for me is King of the Nighttime World. For me, you think I'd pick Detroit Rock City, but I love it. But I've heard it so much. My go-to, sometimes I do skip Detroit and I go right to King of the Nighttime World.
Yeah.
Love it. I've always just loved the mood of that thing. And
but it's a cover song.
It's not really Paul's song. Although, did he get a little credit on it? I can't remember if he...
I think he might have changed the lyric or something.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's a funny one because it seems like such a Kiss song.
I wrote down some honorable mentions, and that's on there.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's very good. And again, when I think of Paul songs, one of the first I think of, even though he technically didn't write it.
Yeah.
That song was like made for him.
Yeah.
So
Feels like a Paul song. Yeah.
it really does. He makes it his own. All right, so my next one is Larger Than Life. Hey, it was already on his list, and there's nothing more to say about it. But goddamn, who did play the drums in that, Peter?
Not Anton.
Okay. Yeah, Anton has said he
One
did.
of their demo buddies, maybe.
Yeah.
Although
But,
I think Peter could have easily done it. But
okay, so yeah, Larger Than Life. Everything he said about it is true, and it's amazing. And again, sleazy Gene, that riff. Paul's background vocals, very prominent, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that before. Like, one of the best examples I can give is "See You in Your Dreams," the Kiss version, not Gene's version. When you can, like, when it's a Paul song and you can hear Gene a lot in the background vocals, or vice versa, I love that.
it means they're buddies.
Yeah. Yes.
So next for me is another Dress to Kill song, Two Timer. And Ladies in Waiting and Two Timer, those are a little pair. That's kind of like, Heartbreaker,
Oh, yeah.
and Live and Love and Maid or whatever,
Even
or We Are the Champions.
even though there's 15 seconds of empty space between the songs.
Is there a bunch
No.
between those?
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't know if there is on the CD version. I guess I do listen to that. The 97 remasters, they're good. I put those on a lot. Hey, CDs are easy to put on. What are you going to do? So, but Two Timer, great tune. It's got such a cool, like, that's a time when it is kind of a plodding pocket, but it works, I think, really good.
I remember the first time we talked about the song, we had a discussion about the line, and just because of that baby, you think she forget the rest.
Oh, yeah.
Now, is he talking about that baby like she had a baby from him, or is he calling her baby just because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you can look at that two ways. I always thought of it as a baby, a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Because you were a kid.
Oh, really quick.
That's funny.
It's not on my list, but I remember...
You can't talk about it then.
Well, this is a sidebar. I remember us talking about Ladies' Room once, probably during our Rock and Roll Over episode, and I mentioned how I used to have the sheet music for that song, and had the lyrics, and it said meet you in the ladies' room, and it said meet MEET, then MEAT in the ladies' room.
Really?
So I brought that up, and I remember at the time you were like, "Oh wow," and because let's face it, he's you know what it means, people. But that recent interview with Gene, Billy Corgan interview,
Yeah.
he brings that up.
No way.
It's like, yes, justification.
He did?
Yes. Yeah, Corgan brings up ladies' room, and Gene goes, of course it was MEAT.
Gene said that?
Yeah.
No way.
Yep. Swear to God.
I guess I missed. I watched the whole interview. I guess
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
So, justification. I knew what I was talking about.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's just so random that Gene brings it up randomly in 2025.
You never know what, okay, Paul and Gene, they say they got things, they got trademark comments that they make all the time. Well, we wanted to be the band we never saw, all this. But you never really know what you'll get out of them, and I do like watching modern interviews because we love the music, and I always want to hear them talk about the music, and Corgan tries to imply that Kiss is important musically, and Gene refuses to take that compliment for like an hour straight. It's funny. It's so funny. But Gene knows. Dude, Gene knows. He won't say it on camera. I think Gene's trying to be humble in his own wacky way. But it's cool that Corgan gets that,
Yeah, I was impressed with Corgan.
Kiss music has got some really special things going on. And they wear the makeup, and you stick your tongue out. You're not going to get a lot of people maybe writing reviews for your music like that. But, which is why they eventually probably wanted to do The Elder. Like, screw these people. They don't get it. Like, we're... But I think it's cool that Corgan went there with
the
that.
whole time I was like, Corgan knows, man.
And he wouldn't stop. He was relentless. And Gene
Yes.
kept going, oh, that's really nice of you. But, and Corgan wouldn't let it go. It was kind of funny. It was funny, They were sort of fighting in that way. It was like it was subtle. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, two-timer for me. Killer song. What you got?
Okay, my next is Cold Gin. I mean,
Cold Gin time again.
It's classic. It's Subway Ace. It's what he knew the best, and Kiss liked it so much they put it on their first album. It rocks. No guitar solo, which is strange for an Ace song. There's a middle section, instrumental section, but no actual guitar.
No, there's a little lick that goes
There's
on.
a lick
but
once
it's,
in a while.
Yeah, it's definitely not an expressive guitar
Yeah.
solo for a guitar player's song. It's kind of, that is funny.
Another song that I made these guys play live. Yeah, I made you play that because you didn't want to do that.
Oh, I loved doing
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
that wasn't like, anything that was a deep track, I was all about it, so.
Yeah, for the record, we would never try to touch Detroit Rock City, or we did Love Gun once, but that was a special occasion.
Well, we would have had to have two guitar players that could really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't know. We just weren't into. We didn't want to do that. We didn't do Beth.
Yeah.
Although I did try to get you to do that. That would have been cool. Peter's like, I don't sing.
You don't want me here singing that.
No.
So that brings me up to my next one, and it's Got to Choose, and I know that's a favorite of yours too. Got to Choose a live version, nothing better than that. That's just, it's like a hard rock soul song, sort of.
Oh, exactly.
It's just got
the call and response vocals.
It's got a great thing.
The guitar solo on a live and the studio version is amazing.
It's not only is it a standout Paul song, but it's a very different Paul song. I don't know. To me, there's not another Paul song that feels like that. Something about it. It's kind of
Because it's
special.
very Motownish.
It's special. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
And kind of like he alluded to, I prefer the alive version, without
Yeah.
a doubt. My next one, throwing it back to the first album, Must Have Been a Bitch While You're Gone. While I was gone, excuse me. I can't even get it straight.
Yeah.
100,000 Years.
Yeah.
Guess what, Peter?
I
prefer the alive version.
Well, that version is just so epic in comparison to the short album version.
Yeah, but
That's
I
on my
love
list.
the short album version, too.
Since mine's not really numerical,
Oh, you have it, too?
I got it on there
okay.
too. So
So,
you know.
go to my next one, then?
back to Jason.
Okay.
Back to
How
JD.
about also, well, it's not on the first album, but they already had it recorded. I mean, not recorded, but written. She, from Wicked Lester. Well, fuck that version. I don't want to hear flutes during She. You know what I mean? She, from Dress to Kill, obviously Alive is the definitive version. And, that's the one where Ace nicked the solo from the Doors from 5 to 1. And Mike McCready came along later. I'll use that, too. But yeah, I mean, She is amazing. I love the not many songs. How many Kiss songs can you think where Paul and Gene sing together? I mean, literally
Quite a few early on, I suppose.
lead vocals by Gene and
Oh,
Paul.
you mean like on the verses?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So amazing. Love the lyrics, and She Walks by Moonlight.
So next for me is off the Paul record, Take Me Away. Carmen Appice. It's just epic. I would say Tonight You Belong to Me, but it just doesn't get more epic than Take Me Away with all
It's
those
very
fills
epic.
and stuff. And that's the one where, what's his name? Boston producer or Kansas producer had a big hand in shaping that song, creating the mood.
Jeff Glicksman.
Yeah, Glicksman definitely helped in that song. Mood-wise is expansive. It's a magic in that production on this.
Wasn't Carmen told to play British? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think I read that.
Yeah.
Well,
He probably Carmen probably thinks he influenced the British guys.
oh, he definitely does.
So,
he definitely, and
yeah,
he did,
Yeah.
because Zeppelin's first tour of
Yeah.
America was with Vanilla Fudge, and Bonham was taking notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What you got?
excellent choice there. You just mentioned it. You're right, Peter. I do love Got to Choose, and it's my.
That's your next one?
We've entered my top 10 now, and yeah,
Top
that is. Yeah, so it's in both our top 10s.
We better count down now.
Okay, now.
It
Okay.
won't matter for me.
Okay,
as
we're
much,
at, She was 10. This is number 9. Got to Choose.
I will say that from here on out, they're just like my top 10. They're not really in order, but they are a must. They are must-haves. So, yeah.
Yeah, Got to Choose.
Got to Choose, okay.
We talked about that.
Mhm.
I mean,
My next one is Love Gun. You got Love Gun?
no.
You don't? You don't have Love Gun?
Burnout Factor over here.
It is, but still, the version off Alive 2, when I put it on, I remember my
I love that version.
my science teacher, Mr. Zittel, he had that big Dark Side of the Moon door poster, the one that was the cover, but it was a horizontal.
He had that in the
It was a
classroom?
horizontal door poster. It was huge. He had it in the classroom. And first day is when I went to Wilson here in Tacoma, and the first day, he was such a funny guy. He cracked all sorts of jokes. I remember he said,
Jeff Tate went
he
to
says, I remember him saying, "You stoners are gonna love this because we use scales all the time." He saw my Kiss shirt. All right, Love Gun. He started singing Love Gun to the class. So cool teacher.
So yeah, I didn't put Love Gun. I didn't put Detroit Rock City.
Ooh.
It doesn't mean I don't like these songs. Like you said, the version of On a Live 2 is amazing.
Yeah.
The snare sound, the 80 Pauls in the chorus.
It's amazing how Paul could do that back then.
Yeah, kind of suspicious about that. My next, okay.
80 Pauls.
Peter, we've been talking about, I've kind of been half joking, like I prefer the Alive version. This one, the version on Alive, is literally a million times better than the studio version. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't look at your list.
And it's probably 3 times as long.
I didn't cheat.
Let Me Go, Rock and Roll. Elvis's favorite Kiss song as well. That's been proven. Go to Ralph's channel if you want to hear about that. Yeah, absolutely perfect ending to my favorite album of all time. Kiss never in any way, shape, or form were a jam band, but they kind of extend some things here, and it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's the big closer. I always think of Rock and Roll All Night as the closer, but at that point they had another one that was even more epic.
Yeah, the version on Hotter Than Hell just doesn't do it for me like that one does. What is it, 2.5 minutes long?
Yeah, it's just a cute little song on
Yeah, it's just like on Hotter Than Hell, it's like a Chuck Berry song, but live, man, it is good.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's my number 8.
So for me, I'm on Nothing to Lose. Nothing to Lose is, for me, it's a standout track, and I really do like the heavy Alive version, but I do love the first album version with the piano. It is kind of silly, and I do love that about it.
Bruce Foster on piano.
Yeah. I see why they thought it might be their first big single. I see why they thought that.
Yeah. Very Slade-like,
Yeah.
Catchy, super catchy, and it's about anal sex. So
I just love it when Peter comes in.
Why wouldn't that be on the radio, right?
Yeah. Perfect fit.
Yeah, I love hearing Peter chime in.
Pun intended. Perfect fit.
Your
turn.
I see what you did there.
Your turn.
Okay, so in my top 10 here, I don't think there's really anything that's going to make people gasp, but I think this is the closest I have to that. This is a song that literally started it all. Gene and Paul in Stephen Coronel's bedroom. Gene, this is Paul. Paul, this is Gene. Play me something. Paul plays Sunday Driver. Of course, it became Let Me Know. I love Let Me Know. I always have loved that song.
Yeah.
Looking at it, apparently it's my favorite song on Kiss on their first album because it's the highest ranked
It's that far
song.
up.
Oh no, it's not. There's one more song. Sorry. But I love it.
Yeah, but that other one's probably the Alive version.
Yes.
So yeah, Sunday Driver, for sure.
Let Me Know.
Should have been on my list. Probably.
It's fun, It's they're having a good time.
Yeah.
It mentions "bundle of joy" in the lyrics. It's just great.
Yeah.
And I love how they brought back the ending and tied it into "She" on Alive. So. Yeah.
So next for me is Parasite. That'd be number 6 for me. And I love Parasite so much. I do little videos of myself playing the song and post them on Facebook all the time and stuff like that. I look back, I've done that a couple times with Parasite, actually.
People are like, "Yeah, Peter, we get it. You can play Parasite."
You're playing Parasite again, yeah. So you've talked about it earlier, so Parasite, can't beat it. At the time, it's probably their heaviest song. So,
Okay.
What do you got next?
Well, speaking of heavy Kiss songs, how about Watching You? That riff, man. I assume Gene came up with it. He wrote the song, but man, that is like, you talk about your Sabbath riffs and stuff. You can throw that right in there with just a great fucking hard rock riff.
Yeah.
And the song around it as well, and it's creepy. The lyrics are kind of Aqualung-ish.
It is one of the creepiest Kiss songs. You gotta say, yeah.
The guy in Aqualung is sitting on a park bench eyeing little girls with bad intent. This guy's watching a crippled lady. Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
it's amazing. Limping as you do. I'm watching you. I mean,
Limping as you do. So next for me is 100,000 Years, and as a drummer, Somewhere in Time and Kiss Alive are the first two albums I ever drummed to when I got this crappy ass drum set, an old Trixon 20-inch kick drum.
so you started with the easy stuff.
And then I had like three snare drums without bottom heads. This is just this bunch of drums this guy had, and I ended up begging for it. I ended up getting these drums. It was a friend of my dad, it was a friend of my dad's friend, and he's like, I got these drums, man. Yeah, you can have these drums. And I was like, really? Can I get them like tonight? And I just like forced my way into this kit. So I ended up with it later that night, and the next day I got up, I put on 100,000 Years from Alive, and I put on Somewhere in Time. I remember I just had got that cassette like a couple days before that. And then the third thing I put on, I had the 7-inch for Is This Love by Whitesnake. And it was a nice straight halftime, beat to play. I played with that song all the time just because it was new, And I would put that.
It was this hot single at the
Those
time.
are my first week of drumming. I tried anyway to play with these songs. So how I ever played with Somewhere in Time, the song, I don't even know what I was doing, but
I bet you could nail that shit now.
I remember that how up tempo that song is and stuff. Gone so it's like, yeah, right. I wasn't doing it spot on, that's for sure. But 100,000 Years is so cool. It's a really good Peter Criss thing.
Yeah, and take it from me, people. This guy could replace Nico and Maiden right now. He could. That would have been. How cool would that be?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
they play long sets. You got to be in good shape.
They do. So my number 5 is Making Love. It's the opening guitar riff that gets me, and that solo is amazing, and Paul's vocals are just over the top.
Yeah.
And the acoustic guitar on the studio version adds a nice touch. Yeah, it's Making Love, man. It's the perfect ending to their best studio album, if you ask me.
I love Making Love.
Yeah.
So next for me is Nowhere to Run. And
Wow.
to me,
Wow.
well, for you, your things are numbered more proper. Mine's just on the paper, but it does deserve to be really high because I just fucking love that song. I love it. I think that song could have been. They probably didn't mark. I mean, that album didn't even come out in America, right?
Right.
I mean, that album never even got a fair shake at all. I mean, in America. So I don't know. I think that song could have done probably more in America. I think that's a misstep because there's a couple songs on there, the newer songs, a couple of them that I think were had some possibilities.
How cool was it? Yeah, it wasn't released in America for us fans to seek that out and find it.
It was
and
fun.
You know what I mean?
It
It's
was
like,
fun.
cool,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
We got the Kiss import.
yeah,
Yeah, no, the four songs on Killers, that's my favorite.
yeah, man. Love it.
But I like all 4 of them, really.
That's some Paul powerhousing going on.
Yeah. All right, clocking in at number 4 on the big top 10 here. Peter, I am stunned, amazed, and shocked that this song wasn't in your top 20.
Shock me.
Because, no.
Oh.
That would have been a good segue. Because you played this live on the regular. Talking about God of Thunder, people.
Yeah, that's true.
It's my number 4. Yes, it's the Perfect Gene song, and yes, I know he didn't write it, but
Yeah.
it's that riff is one of the heaviest Kiss riffs ever written. I love the studio version
Yeah.
better than the Live 2 version.
Really?
Yes, I know it's slower,
I
it's
love
more
it.
plotting, but
it's-
Edward's production, man.
Oh no, it's great. It's magic. Well, I love the rawness of the Eli 2 version, where his voice is given out when he comes in again, and the drum
Do that
solos.
again.
No, I won't. But the drum
Rewind
solos.
it back to hear it.
The drum solos cut up a bit, but
Big time.
whatever. It's still a raw, great recording. And my band has done it now for a couple of years.
And you sing it.
Yeah, and we've done it at most of our shows in the last couple of years. But before that we did Working Man a little bit, and we did Crowley. We did Mr.
Ooh.
Crowley. And the other day at practice we brought Crowley back into the possibilities. We jammed it. It was a little rough. We hadn't done it for a couple of years, but I think we're going to bring that one as the fun, bonus cover tune a band throws in towards the end to give somebody something to bite into, that those people out there that don't know your songs.
And you sing that one as well, right?
No, Jesse will sing
Okay,
that, but I'm gonna shadow him a bit on that. It's a little high for him, so I'll be in there and I'll add those Sisters of Mercy voice in the background over there. But it is fun. When I'm playing it, I'm thinking of Tommy Aldridge on Tribute more than the original album as far as the drum fills and the tom fills, so it's fun.
Right on.
Anyway, this is a Kiss episode. Next.
Oh.
Me? You?
No,
you,
I just said
me?
God of Thunder.
You? Me?
I said God of Thunder, and again, I prefer the Destroyer version.
Yeah. So next for me is I Stole Your Love, and it definitely does deserve to be that close up there at least. I don't know if it's number 1, 2, or 3 or something, but on here I have it as 3. I Stole Your Love. I love the album version, and I love the Alive 2 version. And I love Alive 2, actually. I know it's not as classic as Alive is, but Alive, there's some magic to Alive 2,
Oh, yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I Stole Your Love is great on both, though. I Stole Your Love, the Paul vocal on on Love Gun, amazing.
No, the only knock on Alive 2 that I would say is I prefer Alive, but come on, that's Alive.
Yeah.
Alive 2 is amazing.
Yeah.
And throw in that studio side as a bonus.
Yeah.
And the packaging.
Yeah, that does make it really special, that side.
The packaging. Open up the album and look at it for
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
Because I used to. Speaking of Alive 2, Shock Me is my number 3. The Perfect Day song. I want to talk about the version on Love Gun, though, because one of the best snare sounds you're ever going to hear. Oh, man. Exactly. See?
Yeah, it's great.
Man, I just love hearing you do that. You know what I mean? That's just amazing. We won't even mention the guitar solo. It's pretty epic, especially on Alive 2. But it's amazing. It's a great song. To me, it's like, if you look at the flow of Love Gun, it's the centerpiece of the album to me. It's probably the longest song, maybe by a minute, maybe. That's just a guess. I could be wrong, but it seems like the longest song. And to me, it's the centerpiece of the album, and it's Ace's first lead vocals on a Kiss album. I love it. It's
got a really cool arrangement. It's it's not totally straight ahead. It's got some stuff happening,
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So there we're on number 2 for me, and I got She written down for 2. And it does deserve to be definitely in the top 10 at least. She is a great tune. I remember in my bedroom, that's one of the first riffs I learned, because it's so easy. Bum, bum, then just to go up and hit the octave, and then da-da-da-da. I feel like you're playing that Cheech and Chong riff. What's that Cheech and Chong riff?
Eric My Eye?
Yeah, in the bathroom with a pair of bendy. It's really similar to that da-da-da. Got that chromatic thing going up there. But I used to play that Eric My Eye and the She riff all the time when I was learning riffs on guitar.
It's super fun to play guitar.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
We did it. Did we do it?
No, I was about to say, I don't know why
how
we
you
didn't.
remember what we did and didn't do.
I used to write the set list and stuff. So.
Must have been all the drugs I took.
Yeah.
I've never taken any drugs.
No, you know what? Why didn't we do that? When we get back together, we're doing that.
Yep.
Like, without a doubt. She is great. I was in my top 10. It was my number 10.
Yeah.
Come on, is She.
Yeah.
It's funny because, well, we'll get to that in a second, but that's as far back as you can go in history, really, Wicked Lester,
Yeah.
But my number 2 is, again, when I think of Paul, this is the number 1 Paul song for me.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what it is?
Yeah, I know what it is. You and John on John 5.
Oh, really? He likes this?
I think that's one of his very favorites, too. He's always playing that riff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Speed, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what you just said, it's all about that riff.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the vocals. Paul is sassy in that song.
Mm-hmm.
The background vocals are really cool.
Yeah.
The bass line's cool. The
riff,
drum's cool.
The riff just has a a Thin Lizzy mood to that riff or something.
Some people have said Leonard Skinner. I kind of think of like Mick Taylor era Stones a little bit.
Yeah.
But Mick Taylor era Stones, but more like Keith Richards playing.
Yeah. It's a little different. It's got something a little different in that riff for Kiss. You know?
Yeah, I love it, man. It's like I said, he's sassy, he's cocky, and it's Paul. That's the star child right there.
Yeah.
So, I've been in love with that song since I first heard it. So, Mr. Speed is my number 2 favorite Kiss song ever, and that includes all the non-makeup stuff too.
So my number 1, and it does deserve to be number 1 because I at least did that right. I put Deuce number 1 because for me it is number 1. It's the first one I heard. It's just opens up Alive. Nothing could open up Alive like that. Gene's scream at the end, the A solos, and to this day, like on any show I see, if I get to see Deuce, I'm excited and I'm waiting to see what that scream is going to be like at the end of Deuce. Even when I saw him at the Dome over here,
Farewell
Tacoma Farewell Tour, yeah. I'm always excited to hear Deuce. So
Deuce is it's energy, it's bombast.
Wait a minute, that's on yours too.
Oh, yeah. Deuce is my number 1 as well.
Yeah.
We're now both talking about our number 1s.
Yeah.
But that's no big shock to the people. We've talked about our favorite Kiss song.
Yeah.
Deuce is just, and I do love the studio version too.
And first song they ever played together.
Yeah, there's history right there.
Yeah.
They played it for Ace. They said when it comes to the solo break, do your thing. And they instantly knew, like, wow, this guy's got a sound that blends right in.
Yeah.
I mean, Ace, I think he still does it live to this day. In fact, he'll say, it's the first song I ever played with Kiss or whatever. So, again, Gotta Thunder is Gene's character song, but Deuce is pure Gene as well.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember, I feel bad about this now, but when you're 7 or 8, I didn't really like when company would come over. Like,
really?
Why's Grandma coming over again?
That kind of company. Yeah.
So I used to listen to Get Up and Get Your Grandma Out Here, and I was like, yes, Gene knows. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, you hated your grandparents.
No, I didn't hate them, but I don't know. I just because I'd be up in my room listening to music, and Jason, make sure you come down and say hi to Grandma when she's here. It's just an inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't I see her last week? Didn't she give me some almond roca last week or something?
Oh my gosh, I'll take some almond roca.
Yeah,
jeez.
Things grandparents do, and guess what? Now I'm a grandparent.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you right now, I couldn't love it more. So.
And also, almond roca is made right down the road here. I bet
Really?
you guys didn't know that. Yeah, Brown and Haley, they're right downtown. All the almond roca in the world is made right down here by the Dome, right here.
So some guy watching this, like in Georgia or something, eating some almond roca, can look on the packaging and it'll say from Tacoma, Washington.
It's Tacoma. It's all made in Tacoma. They haven't sold out to any other companies that I know of. I think it's still all made here. They make the ugly bars, which are just the peanut butter. One's raspberry, one's... There's 3 of them. What's the other one? And then they make almond roca.
Do you think my grandma was getting it straight from the factory?
Well, around here, all the older folks around here have always been clued into anything made by Brown and Haley because it was distributed so much around here. You know what I mean? Because they're right down the road. So
you know what's another old person candy? Those Werthers.
Those mints?
Mints, too.
Oh, Werthers. Oh, yeah. In the 80s, Werthers became big. Oh, yeah.
And again, I'm a grandparent now. I'm not giving old man candy or your grandpa candy to my grandkids. They have their own candy, but
anyway, on that note,
so that is our top 20 Kiss songs from the original era, 74 through 80, right? Yeah. Well, you had a Killer song though. You threw it all off with that Killer song.
It's part of that era for me.
Hey, wait a second. Eric Carr was on Killers.
Yep.
So that's not. He cheated, people. He cheated. We'll let it slide.
Well,
we're gonna let it slide.
Well, you got Ace on there.
Yeah.
That could have been on there. I guess he's not on those songs, but he's still pictured on the album cover. And then you got Eric, but then on Masked, you don't have Peter on drums anyway.
Okay, that's why we're gonna let it slide.
Yeah.
So when we do our next episode, hopefully a week from today,
you can pick Killer song if you want. I'll let you.
There won't be any on there.
Oh, really?
See, actually, I already have my next list. See, there's the list I read today.
Bro.
There's my next one. I already have it done. Yeah. Look at that. See it?
I won't look.
Okay, so the next episode will be 81 through the end of the band. our top 20 songs. So, stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching. And again, we're deleting that old episode, the first episode ever, and this is its replacement.
Yeah.
So, too bad if you didn't watch it, but it sucked anyways.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching again. We're 3 years into this, and we're thankful for all the support. I'm Jason. This is Peter. We're Any Way You Slice It. And remember, any way you slice it, you can't deny it.